So last week we talked about baseball again, and we tried to kind of stir the pot, maybe kick the hornet's nest of baseball diehards. We're not going to do that this time. We didn't get as much hate as we did last time. I got a little bit excited last week, overheated my camera. I want to stay in a Zen place this time and talk about something real. So right now, we're obviously in the throes of spring training, and your mileage varies on whether you like spring training or not. I can't wait for opening day. Until it's here, I'm not really into baseball, but every 3 years, I believe, the World Baseball Classic takes place. And one of our new subscribers, shout out to all of our new subscribers, by the way, on YouTube, commented on a question that I had about your favorite day in sports. And they mentioned the WBC. And the WBC was created because, I don't know if you remember this, but baseball was taken out of the Olympics at one point, and they were trying to basically create a World Cup for baseball, something to give it a more legitimate feel on an international level. And it has sustained and it continues to grow. And I was watching it, and it's almost as if, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but it's like the most fun version of baseball, because everything that we talk about wanting, high scoring games, speedy games, crowds that are into it, personalities, all of that is present at these games. And yet the American fan base doesn't seem to take it seriously. But when I watch, these international fans are just here for it. So I wanted to see how you felt about this as just an international tournament, first of all, and if you think that it's a good thing for baseball.
So, from just do I think it's a good thing as an international tournament? What's very weird about us as a country is we, as a whole, like to sort of pound our chest and patriotism. America, we're better than everybody else, especially when it comes to these world events. But we're really crappy fans, though, of these world events. I mean, yes, I think people get into the Olympics when they do happen. But look at the World Cup, for example. Like the World Cup does it better than any other world event out there, and it gets worldwide coverage. But even here in the States, I mean, yeah, there's people that tune in and watch, but it's still minuscule compared to what you're going to get in other areas of the world. So I don't know why that is. I think that maybe it's just maybe it's the fact that as Americans we're kind of arrogant and just think that our professional leagues are better than what's happening worldwide or something. I don't know. I mean,
No,
it's a weird
stop
take,
it. Come on.
but I think these other countries, though, too, they just any opportunity they have to put themselves on display for the world, especially in a positive way, they get really excited about it. And especially if you're able to do it against a country like the United States, that's going to bring even more attention and pride to the table. So I admire it, man. I love the fandom. I love people that get passionate about things. It doesn't matter what it is, man. As long as it's obviously something that's within the bounds of the law. I mean, if you're passionate about something, I'm here for it, man. I'm all about it. Tell me about it. Tell me why you're passionate about it. Tell me why I should check it out myself. As far as the World Baseball Classic goes, is it good for baseball? I think it could be, but I don't think they embrace it the way they should. I mean, there's a lot of star players that don't play in it. I obviously the timing of it I think isn't great just because being right here with spring training and everything else. And what sucks though is it's almost the same thing as these all-star games and shit like that where people don't want to participate because they're afraid they're going to get hurt in what they consider to be a meaningless game, and it's going to cost them potentially millions of dollars. And that's what sucks is major sports in our country are big business, and it really takes away from what could be in some of these national tournaments per se, where in soccer, like they value the World Cup. A U.S. soccer player, I'm sure, values the World Cup more than they do the MLS. But I think that,
Everybody does.
yeah, but I mean, I think that if you were to ask most, whether it's basketball, baseball, a lot of these other sports, I mean, that don't have or that have their own pro leagues here that are big time, that are worldwide known leagues, I think that they'd value an NBA championship in some cases more than Olympic gold medal here and there. I mean, that's just my take on it. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish there was more pride in it, but I do love seeing it though from some of the other countries for sure.
The thing about it, though, is when you look at the personalities in all these other teams, there is a lot of personality in baseball. And the American fan, because baseball takes place predominantly in this country, we, the American fans, kind of want to squash that. And we've talked about how the diehards want baseball to be this sort of prim and proper sport where you golf clap whenever something happens. And it has so much potential to be something more. Baseball is a unique sport. It's unlike anything else that is out there with all the different eccentricities within it. But all these personalities, the American fan wants it died down. No bat flipping because that's against the unwritten rules. No staring down a batter when you strike them out, stuff like that. And you see that stuff in the World Baseball Classic in the name of international competition, and the players are loving it, eating it up. I have seen Mike Trout have more fun in these games in the World Baseball Classic than he's probably going to have through the 162 game slog that is going to be the Angels' no doubt failed season because they can't get their shit together. The Americans are fielding a legitimately great baseball team. There is a lot of American-made talent in this tournament, and we're missing out on all of it because we want to make baseball this sort of antiseptic thing. And I think the World Baseball Classic, I hope that it continues and grows. I mean, the amount of countries that are in it is vast. I mean, Israel has a team. Israel has a baseball team, and it's not a country that is associated with baseball. But baseball is truly an international game, and I think you're seeing that on display. I do agree, though, the timing. And Edwin Diaz, who is the closer for the New York Mets, injures himself celebrating with his teammates after a big win. And there's always going to be a debate about this. You can get injured at any time. He could have been injured in a spring training game, and it wouldn't have mattered. But these professional teams have a lot of money riding on these guys. And how do you feel if you're a GM about one of your players playing in something like this when you know ultimately they may enjoy it, but from my business perspective, it's not a good thing?
Oh, I think they hate it, man. No doubt. I mean, just their job is to put the talent on the field, right? And compete for championships. And if they're not doing that, they're not going to have their job for very long. So I imagine that they view it as if you're going to do something else and risking injury, like you're messing with my job at that point in time. I think that's how a lot of people think of things, unfortunately.
I know that the NHL has not sent players to the Olympics, especially for the U.S. team, because of where it happens and how it happens and the timing of it. And they want to preserve their product, and they're always going to run into it. I think that the long-standing nature of the World Cup has made it so that all these countries deeply care about it, and they're going to put their professional careers on hold. And these clubs, I think, are good with this because they know they're going to make a ton of money on the back end. But for a baseball team, like Edwin Diaz plays for the Mets. The Mets are in a large market. They're probably going to make a lot of money just from ad revenue and TV revenue alone. But imagine if the Marlins are sending Jazz Chisholm, who's like their only marketable player, and he gets hurt. Their only marketable player is now out for the season, and they already were going to have a tough time selling tickets. And now they have no attraction to sell tickets. And I think from a business perspective, you're probably very right about this. I mean, the Yankees don't allow any players to play. Aaron Judge is not on the U.S. team when he's probably one of the best U.S. hitters that we have. I think it's only going to get worse now that we've seen injuries to these guys, and especially a high prominent closer for the Mets who could have been a make or break year for them. They spent a lot of money trying to win a World Series. Steve Cohen can't be happy with this at all.
No, you're right. I think it's going to get worse, and that's unfortunate, though. I mean, and maybe it'll get like some of the other sports in the Olympics and things, where they'll start playing college players and things like that. But I mean, then you're still going to run into the whole deal of, well, do I risk getting injured and risk a pro career and everything else? It's sad, but I think it's just what it's become, being big business and a lot of money being involved. I can't say I blame them for viewing it the way that they do. And it's in their own personal best interest in most cases, but I do as a fan, I wish it weren't that way.
Yeah, and I might actually have to add World Baseball Classic to my sports bucket list. It looks like a lot of fun. And I'm not even talking about seeing the U.S. team, but man, like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, that was outstanding. The crowd was all over it. Or any of those Asian teams like in Japan, man, those fans are amazing. Japanese baseball is so amazing. And yet we want to make it boring and prim and proper here. I don't understand it. Baseball fans, I love baseball. I wanted to continue to be a part of America's pastime and America's fabric. You're making it hard, man. Let them play. Let them be who they are. That's all that I am asking. And you know what?